Hi and welcome again. And we are now here in the studio and we have Nick with us still, and we're going to talk about exercise. And I'm really interested to see what he has to say. I've known about the concept for a very long time. I haven't really been training that way myself, and especially not when I was doing Olympic weightlifting. So I'm going to play devil's advocate with Nick a little bit here and see what he comes up with the very interesting. And I know many of you have asked about exercise. You don't want to bulk up, especially the women saying those kind of things. And also with regards to the insulin resistance and how that can help you actually heal from that. So over to you, Nick. I think people probably know who you are by now.
Okay, yeah. I started, as you can see here, Ultimate Fitness in Finland, Helsinki, about 2.5 years ago. And the idea behind that was to set up one of the first high-intensity strength training services in Finland. There was nobody, as far as I could see, doing it, certainly in the Helsinki area. And the reason I got into it is I'm really a businessman, and I like running businesses, and this seemed to me as a very good business that would have lots of potential, because what we're seeing nowadays is that we have some of the highest gym memberships in the world now amongst the general population. People are going to the gym more and more, yet we seem to be getting sicker and sicker, and something isn't right. And when I lost my weight and regained my health, the next thing I wanted to do really was to do some exercise. And I used to do some triathlons and things like that, but I'm not a runner. And it was really tough. I pretended that I liked it. I pretended that this was a good thing to do, and I went along with it like everybody else. But it was horrible. It was painful, and it just wasn't right. And when I refound my health, I actually started running 10 kilometers 3 times a week. So I was doing 30 kilometers a week, and
Wow.
I ended up with real back pain. In fact, it was so bad, I went to the hospital. I had trouble actually urinating. I had a pinched nerve, and the doctors were really worried because they thought this was a prostate issue and all this sort of thing. And I had a really bad back. I had X-rays, I had all the blood tests and everything, and then they were all okay. But in the end, it was just that I'm just not suited to running, and I'm not even cycling or swimming. I like swimming, I like doing them, but it dawned on me that steady state exercise, the cycling of liver glycogen, the sitting on a bike and running all day, doesn't necessarily make you fit, and it doesn't necessarily make you lose weight either. And I wanted another way, and I stumbled across the book Body by Science, which we talked about in your show. And you've got that, yeah?
I have it here, still
Yeah,
on my
and I've
desk.
got my copy.
That's what it looks like. You see better on yours. I have too many lights shining on
I've
me.
got my copy, my well-thumbed copy here that I use with my clients. And that really did change my life. It changed my whole view about exercise and fitness. And one of the best things I think that Doug and John Little did in that book was to redefine fitness. And their definition of fitness, I think, is fantastic. It's very simple. It's the balance of catabolic and anabolic forces. When those two are in balance, you are fit. You are what you are. And to then superimpose something artificial on top of that and say, well, you're not running a marathon, so you're not fit. That's a modern concept that we've come up with, since the days of agriculture, when we haven't had anything better to do, when we've got so much food, we can just sit around and we've got nothing better to do with our spare time. And when people say, okay, you need to run a marathon to be fit, I always throw back the argument that, look at what happened to the first ever marathon runner. he crossed the exactly, he crossed the line and dropped dead, and I think the second one did as well.
Probably.
So, and there are studies out there that show that marathon runners, when they actually look at what is happening to their heart at the end of a race, that their hearts are under as much stress as somebody who had a cardiac arrest in some studies. So it's very marginal. It suits certain people. Running suits certain people. Some people can naturally run. I think most people can't naturally run. But everybody can lift a weight. Everybody can move a weight, even if it's only 1 kilo. And you can, as Doug explains in Body by Science, you can get as much bang for your buck in 15 minutes a week as you can from running a marathon. And you can probably get more health benefits by doing that, by all the hormonal cascades that he talks about and all that sort of thing. And that really changed my life. It made me very strong. My pulse came down, my blood pressure came down nicely as I was doing these exercises before I started the business. And I've never felt better. I've never looked better at 54. I was 54 on Sunday.
Congratulations.
Thanks. And I feel better than I do in my 20s. And I only do 15 minutes strength training a week. And this is for people who, a lot of my clients have already tried the personal trainer, the conventional personal trainer route of standing on a treadmill and a personal trainer shouting at you.
Oh God.
And they do 2 weeks and they give up. Then they come to me and they stay for 2.5 years.
And that speaks volumes.
As I said in your show, that's forever. I have a very loyal client base. And the reason for that is because I record everything. So I'm very meticulous in looking at their strength profiles. And I can, if we can share the screen,
yep.
I will try and show you what it is that I do and the reasons why. There's a very good graphic here. Let me see if I can open this in here.
So meanwhile, I want you to all just take it in what he's actually saying, that the metabolic benefit that you can get from 15 minutes per week is probably a lot better than what you would get from running a marathon every week, etc.
Plus, you're not getting injured.
And that benefit, obviously.
And Doug talks about this in his book, not only in this book, but the trainer's book. That let me see if I can open this. There we go. This is a great graphic. This is illustrating what I was talking about. Can you see that?
So this is strongest and longest lived and weakest and shortest lived at the bottom. Yeah, okay.
Just to expand it for you.
Now it's easy to read.
So this is what Doug's talking about. He's talking about the balance of catabolic and metabolic forces. And to me, that's the definition of fitness. We don't want to be dropping below this disability line. Your measure shouldn't be, can you run a marathon? Can you sprint 100 yards? Can you cycle 200 kilometers? Can you swim 1.5 miles in 30 minutes or whatever? Your measure for whether you're fit is whether you are above the disability line here on the horizontal axis and how far above it you are, and trying to stay above that. And not only that, but see this peak here, this peak fitness, trying to push this peak fitness as far to the right as possible.
Yeah. So how would you measure this?
This is what I do in the gym. I will show you. Okay. I'm
no
about
beep
to
test.
come on to it. All in good time.
Yes. Awesome.
So what we're trying to do is we're trying to move this curve up here. We're trying to push you back up here. Okay. And people say to me, well, what about the Japanese? They live long anyway and they don't do any strength training. That is true, but they look incredibly feeble to me when they get to 100. Imagine if there was a culture in Japan of strength training 15 minutes a week. They would be pushing 120, 130.
Yeah.
That's my
I do
argument.
believe you, to be honest. Yeah.
And so that's what we're trying to do. That to me is fitness. Okay. So how do we do that? Let me see if we use the big five. Okay, the big five exercises. If you can stop that sharing, and I'll try and share another application. Yeah.
Yep. So basically, the big five exercises, 15 minutes per week. You're done. You're dusted, and you're climbing up on that scale, hopefully.
These are the machines I use.
Right.
Okay, and they're a David. David is a Finnish make. David C24. So you put these big weights on here. Those big sort of disc weights, and this is the chest press, for example, and they're based on the big five that Doug does. So we start with seated row. We move on to chest press. Then we go to pull down. Then we go to shoulder press, and we end with leg press. And we do those in that order every time. And we try to do it in as short a period as possible so we get the intensity. We want that intensity. So the client comes in, I have my stopwatch, I take a note of the time that we start, and we start with the seated row, and we do several protocols. I'll come on to that in a minute. But we start with what we call a benchmarking protocol. That's the protocol that I use for assessing a person's strength. And that benchmarking protocol is very slow movement. So if we're using chest press, it's 10 seconds up and 10 seconds down, or as close to 10 seconds as you can do without being jerky. So if the movement starts to shake, you can speed up a little bit. It's got to be smooth, okay? And there's no pausing. The important thing is that we get time under load, as Doug says, time under load. And the other important thing is form. You must have good form. Clients come to me who've never lifted. It can take 6 months or so to get good form. They start to twist and they start to do this and they start to do that and they do that. We work to get good form first. If you get good form and you work on that slow time under load, you will start to see fantastic results. So those people who have gone.
No, I'm assuming that when you're working on the good form, you are still doing it very slowly, but on very light weights.
Yes. So I'm not interested in, to begin with, certainly, I'm not interested in the client getting heavy weights. I'm interested in getting that form. And it comes naturally to some people, especially those who have lifted before. But to some people who've never lifted, the older people in their 50s, 60s, and 70s, it can take quite some time to get that form. But we're not in a rush. We work on that form, get them into that form, and as soon as the form starts to come, the results follow. You don't want people making gains doing this. You can't, you don't want them doing this and saying, oh, come on, you can do another 10 kilos on this. You're going to twist the back, you're going to get asymmetric development of the muscles. You don't want any of that. So it's important to work on the form. And the clients who have the best form get the best results. There's no doubt about that.
Awesome.
So we're working time under load. And that time that we go for, I used to go for 2 minutes to fail. And the reason we go to failure is for the muscle recruitment. And if I can share another item.
Yep. So you said that you were doing, I can't remember the exact order, row, chest press,
Seated
pull
row,
down,
chest
shoulder
press,
press. Yeah.
seated row, chest press, pull down, shoulder press, leg press. And that's the same order that Doug does them in his book.
Okay. So is there a specific reason that it have to be in that order?
Yes, it's pull, push, pull, push, and legs, because legs take it out of you, and you can't do legs to begin with.
Oh, then you're only doing legs that day.
It's that simple.
There you go.
And the reason we do it is because of this. Here is the one of probably the most important. This graphic here. Can you see that?
Oh, sorry, I need to share. There we go. Yes.
This
That's
is from
taken out
Body
of the
by
book, isn't it?
Science.
Yeah.
And it's right in the middle of the book, in those graphics that come in the middle. And Doug says himself in videos that this is probably the most important graphic of the book, why we do it. And you have to understand there are 3 or 4 muscle types. There's slow, intermediate, and fast twitch. To get the response, the hormonal cascade of insulin sensitivity, the doubling of mitochondria, biosynthesis, is it, or biogenesis? I can never remember. One of the where mitochondria just appear and start to double. I think it's
biogenesis.
Biogenesis.
Yeah, I think
biogenesis, so. Where biogenesis occurs, the insulin sensitivity, because for all that magic to happen, you have to go through the sequential recruitment of those muscle fibers. So you have to sequentially recruit the slow, then they have to fail, then you recruit the intermediate, they have to fail, and then you have to recruit the final fast twitch, and then they have to all fail in that sequence. And when they do, the magic happens. And this graph here shows that. What we have here is...
So can I stop you for a second? Can you make that larger? Because it's going to be very hard to see on the screen, I think.
Let me just...
Yeah. That's better. We can somewhat see. Oh, beautiful. There you go.
Hold on. Make it even better. Trying to pick up the corners here.
So I'm going to find that in my book here. I think
it's in the middle.
Yeah. So page 88 or
let me see. Is it page 88?
Yes, I think
a nice
it's that
color
one.
Graphic.
Oh, mine's black and white.
175, 176.
176. We must have different versions.
Well, in the middle, is there no color graphics?
No, I have this.
Okay, fine. Well, I've got
probably
a later version. It's the same thing. Can you see that okay on the screen?
Yep, I see it, but it's just the... so on the y-axis, it says units of force, which is the one going that way, and the other one says time under load.
Yes.
So that people know what it says in case they can't see it. Then we can see the bars and we're all good.
Yeah, so let me just see that. Oh, that's too big. That's about as good as I can get it, I think.
That's fine.
So what we have here is the load. The darker bar is the load. So that's a fixed load. That doesn't change. So that could be kilograms, it could be units of strength or whatever, right? However you want to measure it. And then the lighter bars are your strength. Okay, and the set here begins on the left. All right, and you have more strength than you have more strength than the weight. So otherwise you couldn't move it. Okay, and the set begins, and then strength starts to diminish as the set goes on. We constantly time under load. There's no break here. We start to recruit, and we've recruited the slow twitch. They start to drop out. Now they're exhausted. Muscle glycogen has exhausted on those. Now we go to the intermediate, and the strength is slightly down. Okay, but we can still move it because we've got more strength than the load. Then the intermediates drop out, and we come to the fast twitch. The fast twitch is just about able to move it. We've got equal now. Okay, and finally, the set ends when actually you're not moving it at all, but you're still pushing. This is so important. You must not give up when it doesn't move. You must keep pushing, and that's what I'm there to do with my clients. Okay, this is the point where it feels horrible and you want to give up.
Yeah.
But you mustn't, because if you don't get what Doug calls the inroad, that inroading process. Okay, you will not get it. You will stop here, and you won't get the final fast twitch fail. You won't have completely emptied muscle glycogen. You probably will have emptied some, but you won't have a complete emptying. And therefore, this hormonal cascade that appears in the book, which I'll show you in a minute, the hormonal cascade graphic, doesn't start. You don't get the huge doubling of the mitochondria. You don't get the increase of the sensitivity. You don't get the fight or flight response that then says, oh my God, we've got to be stronger next time, and therefore your strength will increase. So this is vital. It's vital that you respect this, and that you do the movement 10 seconds one way, 10 seconds the other, up to the point where there's failure, and you keep pushing. You keep pushing, and you keep the form. You don't twist, you don't start playing around, you keep pushing until bang, it literally comes down, the weight comes down. Every failure is bang. And this takes a bit of getting used.
You're telling your clients to keep pushing or pulling or whatever they're doing in that exercise until they literally can't do it anymore.
Until they're crying. Until they're crying or laughing. You get two responses. Some people cry and some people laugh. But it's that same response where you're facing death, where the situation is totally out of your control. And you're not in control anymore. And you just, if it's a life and death situation, it's like the tiger is jumping over the wall to get you. You're facing your end, and you know it's coming, and you just laugh or you cry.
Yeah. So how long does it take for people to get it? Because I imagine that there is a mental block to actually doing it.
There is. And that is why I have some very long-term clients. Most of my clients are long-term, but I've also had people who come and go and can't take this. It's too much. But it's not that they can't do it. It's not that they physically can't. Everybody can do something. Yeah. And everybody can go to that point where they can't go on. And everybody can fail suddenly. But they don't want to. They don't have the mental strength to do it. They have the physical strength. Everybody has the physical strength to do this. But it's the mental strength that is required. And so I don't waste too much time with people. If it's not for them, I say, this is not for you. Go and do something else. It's a special kind of person. And as I said, the people that tend to come to me have tried everything before. They've tried the treadmill. They've tried the PT shouting at them. And they've all given up. And they've lost weight. And then it's all come back. And they're all upset. And they've spent a lot of money on a PT. And it hasn't worked out. They come to me and they go, I've tried everything. Now I want to try this. And I'll show you the reason why I think people are staying around. Because I record everything, okay? And this is important. So if I can just If you've got any questions while I just switch screen.
Yeah, I'm actually interested in the mental part there. I mean, you say that if they can't do it, then you're just saying that it's not for them. But I'm assuming that some clients still want to do it, but they don't really know how to get over it.
It's funny because a lot of people, when they come to the training every week, they are, for want of a better word, shitting themselves.
Yeah.
Because they've paid for this,
Yeah.
they care, and they want to get good results. And they're scared that they won't be able to perform, and they're scared that they're scared of that feeling, because no matter how hard you train, you never really get used to this. You're always that's why people don't do this, because it's so against nature in a way.
Yeah.
That you just don't want to do it, but they always come back for more. It's like the Marmite of exercise. People hate Marmite, but they always go back to it.
Yeah.
Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I have this very loyal customer base of people who've been with me 2.5 years, and they keep coming back for more because they're seeing the results, and B, their form is improving, and C, their health is improving. And the reason, I'm about to show you why and how I record this, because this is important. If you want to show progress, you've got to be methodical about showing it, okay? And I'm going to show you how I do this. This is a new client who's been with me now 2 months, I think.
Okay.
Okay, can you see that?
Can we make it bigger?
Yeah, we can.
I keep asking for everything to be bigger.
Yeah, we can certainly do that.
Yeah, I mean, I can see, yeah, that's really good.
Okay, so this is what I call a benchmarking protocol. Okay, this is where there are 8 protocols, right? I'm just going to read them out to you. We don't do the same thing day in, day out, because if we do the same thing day in, day out, you're not going to see progress. If we keep, what you see is that, as you see with this client, I've got the exercise on the left here, okay?
Yeah.
Seated row, chest press, pull down, shoulder press, leg press. I've got the date, I've got the order, and I've got the time, and we're going for 90 seconds. 90 seconds time under load. I've tried 2 minutes with clients, that was too long. It's okay, you can use any time you like for time under load, but you're going to be there forever to get muscle fail.
So basically you are aiming for 90 seconds and then you adjust the weight after the time.
Yeah.
Cool.
So this client started with me, as you can see, on the 11th of December last year. We gave what I thought were the weights that for a person, a male, 58, I thought were good start, okay? And he's just getting used to it, okay? So fairly light weights, and as you can see here, he's bust 90 easily. And he's getting used to it. I didn't record the time, not interested on the first one. Then I have some comments here, okay? Then we move on to the next session. And when somebody starts with me, we train generally twice a week, just so that they're getting used to the protocols and the form and everything, okay?
Yeah.
And then, so he comes back on the 16th, 5 days later, the weights are higher, and he busts again, easily. Now I'm recording the time. We started at 7:14, 7:30, 16 minutes. Okay, which isn't bad for a starter. Then we come in again. Now I've increased the weight again, all right, on certain ones, on all of them, because he busted, and we're starting to get heavy now. All right. Pull down, 81 seconds. He didn't bust on that. The reds are a break. Okay, so he's now starting to max out on pull down, on seated row. Sorry. Yeah, you got that?
Yep.
Chest press, he busts again. Pull down, he busts again. Shoulder press, he's starting to peak already at 15 kilos. Shoulder press is a tough one.
Oh God,
and he's only got 15 kilos aside for a male. It's really tough. And he didn't break. Legs, fantastic. He's already at 150 kilos and he busts. 12 minutes. The guy's on the floor. He's in bits.
Yeah, I can imagine.
I've had somebody throw up on me.
Oh, nice.
I don't want to put people off. It is very highly intense. I've only had that happen once. I've had no injuries ever. Never have I had injuries. Sometimes you get that sickly feeling in the stomach, and there is a great trick for that I got from Doug's second book.
Okay.
I carry sugar lumps in my pocket. If somebody gets sick, it happens after leg press, the last one, sugar lump under the tongue.
Right. Okay.
Nausea goes straight away.
Interesting.
Works.
Cool.
So this guy, 12 minutes, great session with outstanding form and results, approaching maximums on SR and SP, rest all go up, some slight loss of grip on pull down, needs to do some hangs. Hanging is great for grip strength.
Yeah, I need that.
Because we want you to fail here in the bicep. We don't want you to fail on grip.
So you do those pull downs rather than those?
Like that.
Yeah. Cool.
And so I get all my clients to do hangs in between, because that when they start the pull down, the weights get heavy quite quick and the grip fails. Yeah. We don't want the grip to fail. We want them to fail here. So hanging is great for grip strength, and it comes very quick. Within 2 or 3 weeks of hanging, grip's not a problem anymore.
Yeah.
So this guy continues. He comes back 4 days later. We're doing 4 sessions in 2 weeks. He comes back. He's on 9 plates now, and he actually busts on seated row, which is fantastic. He looked like he was plateauing. He busts on that. He easily breaks on a heavier weight now on chest press. He breaks again on pull down, but you can see he's plateauing now on shoulder press.
Yeah.
85, 84, virtually the same. Okay? But he's absolutely taking off on legs. Look at legs, 180 kilograms. He busts beautifully.
That's great.
So this tells me we're still going good on this protocol, okay? We're still going good. There's still some there's still some juice in the tank left for this. He comes back now. He's done 4 sessions in 2 weeks. He comes back a week later on the 30th. So now he's had a week's rest. Okay? And now you can see we're starting to plateau. We only get 1 break, and that's leg press.
Yep. So this interesting.
Minutes.
Sorry.
13 minutes.
Yeah.
The guy is in absolute bits. He rolls off the leg press. He can barely walk.
Yeah. Just with the shoulders, I noticed that the time is going down.
It is.
Do you just
absolutely right? So
keep going on the same weight?
Yeah. Well. So we keep going.
Sorry.
You're ahead of me. You're always ahead of me, Pim.
Okay, sorry.
But I can tell you need to be doing this. You need to be doing this because you're thinking like me. So he busts beautifully on legs at 190. He's already at 190. That is incredible. I have had clients who've taken 6 months to get to 190. But I've done bloods on this guy. No training, no bloods, no training, remember?
Yep, I remember that.
HOMA-IR 0.8. He's insulin sensitive. His waist height ratio was 0.54, I think, when he started. Nothing holding him back.
Mm.
And it's showing here.
Yeah.
Comes back a week later. We're on 200 kilos legs now.
Yeah.
We're on 9.5 plates seated row. He busts seated row. Everything else is starting to drop.
Yeah.
But he busts legs again at 200 kilos. I'm absolutely blown away. A 14-minute session. The guy has got incredible attitude.
Awesome.
Attitude and form.
We love those clients, don't we?
Oh, I love them all. I love them all. Don't get me wrong. I love working with client A who has inflammatory hysteresis because that's the challenge. These guys are easy.
Well, I meant the attitude.
The attitude. The attitude. And they've all got great attitude.
Otherwise they wouldn't stay.
And by the way, 200 kilos is not just reserved for men. Women can do that. I'm seeing that women are equals with men on legs.
Mm.
It's amazing.
Not me, though.
Come and train with me. I'll have you doing 200 kgs leg press within 6 months.
You just want me to puke.
I don't want you to puke, but I'll give you a sugar lump. Anyway,
fair enough.
14-minute session. Look at what I say in the comments. You're one step ahead of me. Here's what I say. Right. Very nice, high-intensity session, plus 2 more breaks on SR and LP. LP planned at 220. I planned 220, but this was too much. All rest clearly down. Hence, time for a protocol change. Mm. This is the mark where there's no point in carrying on now with this. We can go to a split routine and keep going with legs.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to. I want a complete protocol change. Note, locking out dangerously on LP needs to focus on this going forward. When you go to very heavy weights, you don't want to be locking out on legs.
No, definitely not.
We just before full lockout back, so it's full time under load. Okay? So that's a protocol change. Can you see now? I get 2 or 3 downs.
Yeah.
There's no point now in flogging a dead horse. There's no point in coming back next week and trying this same protocol. The body gets used to it.
Yeah.
And you start to see a downturn. That is my clear signal for a new protocol. So where do we go next? Slow negatives. Do you know what slow negatives are?
Yeah.
It's literally what it says on the tin. Boom, faster, slow down.
So with that in mind, do you assist them?
You're ahead of me again. Wait. Yes,
and I also have another question there. Do you know about a brand of machines called X-Force?
No, but I do know about Nautilus and obviously Medex, which is what Doug uses.
So the X-Force, I used to work with them back in the UK, and what they do is that you're pushing, and when you're stopping, you have to give it a second, unfortunately, and it would swap the load and add 40% extra for the negative phase, so you can do that on your own.
I do that. Really I help.
You do that, yes.
Yeah. Okay, that's why I use these machines, because those bars that I showed you, you can put 2 fingers on there and help. But I only help when there is a protocol, the helping protocol. So this particular one is slow negatives. The next protocol is slow negatives plus assists.
Right.
So we go even deeper inroad. We can go even more load. But that doesn't come until this protocol has ended.
Okay.
Got it?
Go walk us through this one then.
Okay, I'll walk you through.
I'm interested to see when you're going to end this protocol and move on.
Well, we're in the middle of this,
so
I don't know yet. But you can tell me. You can tell me what you think now. He trained on Monday, 27th, yesterday, and you can tell me what you think. Okay.
So now you're doing once a week.
Once a week now.
Yeah.
So we're on slow negatives.
Yeah.
And that is the explosive phase and slow. So fast as you can up, and then really slow under control. Seated row, boom, slow. Pull down, boom, slow. Shoulder press, boom, slow. Leg press, boom, slow. Okay? To failure again. Catastrophic, sudden failure.
Yeah.
So this guy starts off on the 13th of January.
Mm-hmm.
And these are just my guessed weights now, because I haven't done it with him before. When I've got clients with me 2.5 years, I don't have to guess weights anymore. I've got a rolling record of their best on every protocol.
Yeah.
This guy, it's the first time he's done slow negatives. So here are my guesses.
Do you have?
Sorry?
How many protocols do you have?
I was going to tell you that a few minutes ago.
Oh God, I should just stop asking questions.
I have benchmarking. That's what we always go back to. Yeah. Benchmarking is our rolling record of how we always go back to that to assess how strong you are.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's the basic one that we do. That's the basic 10 seconds up, 10 seconds back. Then I have partials max and partials min. So partials at max contraction, partials at minimum contraction. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Okay, let me just show you. On the pull down, max contraction is here.
Yeah.
And then we only move to here. So it's a very small 90 degrees here.
Mm-hmm.
And we just do that. Min contraction is at the top, from the top to halfway. And they are horrible.
I believe you, somehow.
They're all horrible, but partials min is particularly horrible because you don't get a break. You just don't get a break. Anyway, so partials max, partials min, rest, pause. So we do everything twice, and we look to see if you break 90 or you don't break 90. If you break 90, you get a 10-second pause and you do it again. That's because you have a slow muscle bias, slow twitch muscle bias, and you haven't recruited your fast twitch. So we give you a 10-second break, and you do it all again. If you break 90, you get 10 seconds. If you don't break 90, you get a 30-second break because you have a fast twitch muscle bias, and we're trying to focus on the slow twitch. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Okay. That's statics, hold, max contraction. Then we have slow negatives, which we just talked about. Slow negatives with assists. That's where I step in and we can really go heavy. So we can have a weight that you can't move up yourself without my help.
Yep.
And you've just got to break it. And that gets really deep inroad. And then the final protocol is assists. And that's just full on, really heavy with me helping both ways. And then there's one more that I throw in, which is a protocol mix. I'm going through this with a client this month. She's training twice a week on a protocol mix. I'm throwing, because I've got a 2.5-year record for her. Mm-hmm. I can take any weight from any protocol. I can just throw it at her. Twice a week, try and break her. And she's doing absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing. The times are brilliant. She's responding brilliantly. So, at the end of the month, we're going to give her maybe 2 or 3 weeks off, and then she'll come back for benchmarking, and we'll see if we get improvement on benchmarking.
So I'm interested, when you do the assisted ones, do you increase the rest between training sessions, or is it still a week?
Still a week.
Cool.
1 week. If the client recovers well and the client's keen, what you find is that as clients, all clients, even with insulin resistance, what you find is that the more they train, the better they recover. So initially, when you start training, it takes you a week to recover, maybe even a bit more in certain cases. But the more you train, you find that even after hard protocols, they're recovering in 2, 3, maximum 4 days. They're ready to train again on the 4th day. So that's where I do the cycle compression.
Yeah.
When a client is ready for it or they have suspect inflammatory hysteresis, we try and compress the schedule as tight as possible. And then we expand it again, because you can't do that forever.
No.
So to go back to this guy, tell me what you think. This is a live client, and this is what he's at the moment. So we're doing slow negatives. He started on the 13th, as I said. Okay. And there's his times. And these were my guesses for weights. Okay.
Yeah.
My comment, superb session with great attitude and form, which is paying off massively now. Nutrition also on point, which is key. Gains across the board. We come back on the 20th. And the weights have gone up. But only one break.
Mm.
The break is on pull down. Okay?
Yeah.
And it is a 17-minute session.
Right.
Tremendous session with great form and attitude. Again, another break on pull down, some slight loss of intensity due to LP weight. Sometimes we have to wait for machines if they're occupied, which is why I tend to train first thing in the morning when the gym is quiet.
Yeah.
Comes back on the 27th yesterday. Again, we only get one break now. And we start to see some gains, but we're starting to see some losses. We had a catastrophic fail on legs. Look at that.
Mm.
So you tell me what you think. We're scheduled next week at these weights. Do you think he's going to bust? Do you think we're coming to the end of this protocol? What do you think?
I think that he seems to... I mean, some of the exercises are going up slightly, some of them are going down slightly, but it looks like he's starting to plateau. So I assume that you're going to change it up again. Yeah,
well, we'll see what the third brings next Monday.
Mm.
So we're scheduled for this. I think we're going to see a clear plateau.
Yeah.
And it's very normal to do 1, 2, 3, 4, max 5, and there's a plateau.
And so you still have a max 5, and if they're still improving after 5 sessions, you still swap? You keep going. Okay, yeah.
Keep going until I had a woman last year, I think we did 12.
Oh, wow.
And she, on a certain protocol, I can't remember what it was, she just kept going for 12 weeks.
Do you think that is mainly a mental thing, though, that she keeps improving?
I don't know, and I don't care. So long as she's improving.
Yeah. Okay, that's fair enough. Absolutely.
That's my basic thing that I do. So I'm waiting for this plateau on all protocols. As soon as I see that plateau, you've got to change.
Yeah.
And so after this one, if he plateaus next week, then I've given him slow negatives. The next one will probably be slow negatives with assists. And then, because that's his second or third one after benchmarking, we'll probably go back to benchmarking, see how he's doing before we carry on with the other protocols.
Yeah, that's awesome. So if someone wants to do this, and clearly there are not that many personal trainers out there that follow such a protocol, what would you do if you were looking to train this way? Would you try to do it on your own and just
very difficult to do it on your own? I wish I had a clone of me that could train me, because I see.
That was my next question. What do you do?
Well, I do body weight exercises. I do bar hangs. I use bands. I do pull-ups, chin-ups. I try to replicate the big 5 at home, but with body weight, and it's very hard because the increments. You can't do 1 kilo increments with body weight, but I'm a masochist, and that's what I do. But even when you train on your own, you do fool yourself a little bit, and you give up before fail. Yeah. And I wish I had a personal trainer to do this. I'm showing you how methodical you need to be to get results. And can you see the attraction for clients when they see this?
Oh, yes, absolutely. And then you go back to benchmarking, and they're going to have made a jump there, of course they're going to stay.
So I can now predict with this guy, based on his results so far, that he is going to comfortably bust 200 kilos this year on leg press.
Oh, yes.
And I think for him, and I can say that now because of my experience, my 2 years, I can tell him now, I say, you stick with me for the rest of this year and we'll get you to 220 kilos, easy. So he's going to sign up, isn't he?
Well, if he wants to do 200 kilos, yes.
Well, I'm not saying you need to do 200 kilos. I'm just saying that I'm showing that you are improving all the time. I'm showing you in a scientific, methodical way. And this is what keeps clients coming back. This is why my longest clients have been with me 2.5 years.
Yeah.
And at the end of each year, I think I showed you the 2 sheets of A4. A3, sorry.
Yeah.
I print this all out for them at the end of the year, and we go through it together, and they get a soft copy PDF that they can print out for themselves. We have a protocol count, how many protocols they've done, when they've done them, and then we have the goals for the coming year. So in 2020, we're going to try and beat your best benchmarking in 2019, and they love it. They don't have to think. They come to the gym. I set up all the weights. Bang, 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 bang. Done.
15 minutes puke session.
Oh, please, it's not that bad.
No, I'm just kidding.
Some people, I've had one person puke, and that was a guy who was doing 230 kilos legs at the end of legs. Oof. But everybody, it's not that bad. You will feel exhausted, but 5 minutes afterwards, you feel fantastic. And then you ask them, do you like this? I love it. I can't wait for next week. Even though, like I told you, they've been shitting themselves beforehand.
Yeah. So just out of curiosity, the guy that threw up, did he stay with you?
Yes, he did. He's not with me now, but I think he did about a year and a half. And I think he stopped for other reasons, financial, I think mainly. He was very happy. He was very busy at work and all that sort of thing. So, yeah. No, he loved it. He loved it.
Okay. Just moving back to my question, if you want to train this way, what do you recommend? What should people do? Should we show them this video and show them this to video? A PT? Yeah, and say, and hey, can you train me this way? Or
need to get trained in this method. This method.
That one.
In the spreadsheet.
Yeah.
Because you're asking all the right questions. You have an inquiring mind. I think you can relate to this. Start setting up Ultimate Fitness New Zealand Nelson and start doing this.
I might have to.
Why not?
I don't know. I haven't been working as a personal trainer for quite a few years, and I was kind of putting that on the shelf, actually. But it's exciting.
And it's great. I love it. And you've got to understand that half my time is in the gym, but the other half of my time is spent on the computer doing analysis.
Yeah.
As I think you can appreciate. Imagine you've done 8 protocols in a year. Sometimes you don't get through all 8 in a year. It takes if you throw in 2 or 3 benchmarking, you can maybe do 6 protocols plus the benchmarking in a year.
Okay.
So it's very rare that I get to do all 8 protocols plus 2 or 3 benchmarks. You have to train a lot to do that and have no holidays. Yeah, if you're doing it once a week.
So when do you do the benchmarking? Is that when you feel that you actually want to reassess them? Or
Yes.
So it's more of
every 2 to 3 protocols, after a protocol change between benchmarking, I will do a benchmarking.
Okay. Fair enough. Cool.
Yeah.
So what about people in the UK who wants to do this? Do you think they should ask their personal trainer to just try and help them with this? And if they can explain it well enough to their personal trainers?
Well, they've got to be able to explain it like I've just explained it to you. How many people are doing this in the world?
I know of one
Where?
in Finland.
Come to Finland, come to Helsinki. I will train the trainers. We discussed that.
Yeah. When are you going to do that?
As soon as I have enough people.
All right. Okay. How many do you have now? Do you have a waiting list?
People. I'm not talking about clients. I'm talking about enough trainers.
Yeah. Do you have a waiting list? Do you have any?
I haven't got anybody who's. I had one person on Twitter once got in touch with me, said, "I really like what you're doing. I'm thinking of doing it," and that was it. But again, Pim, this is so new. Well, it's not new. Doug has been doing it for years, but I am refining it.
I think I got this book in 2011 or something.
No, it's older than that. It was 20 years old.
Yeah, but I got it then.
Oh, okay.
I think so. Yeah, this one says 2009. Yes. So, but I think I bought it in, maybe 2010. So I didn't even buy it when it was just brand new.
Yeah, it was 20 years.
Oh God, I'm getting old.
It was published in 1999 first.
Oh wow. Okay.
So
it's about 30 years then.
20 years old last year, and there are very few people doing this. This is because it's not popular. It's not popular to do this kind of training. You can't Instagram it.
No. So now I want to ask you some other questions here. So let's say that I want to go back into doing Olympic weightlifting. How does this benefit me? How can I incorporate this into a sport that is so explosive? Because this is the opposite of explosive, isn't it?
If you want to be good at Olympic weightlifting, then you should do Olympic weightlifting.
So that's not for people who want to do that.
If you want to be good at cycling, you need to do cycling. If you want to be a good runner, you need to do running.
Could I not use that though to build up my strength and then do Olympic weightlifting?
Yes, you could. But are you talking about doing this to build up as a base and then do Olympic weightlifting, or do you want to do both at the same time?
I was thinking both of this at the same time.
Yeah, why not? I mean, you could. If you came to me as my client and said, I want to do Olympic weightlifting, I want to dovetail this training in with that, then I would sit down with you and you would tell me what you want to achieve with your Olympic weightlifting, and then I'll tell you what I can do with these protocols to try and match the two, because we don't want to have an overlap. We don't want you to be overtraining.
No.
So yeah, I would just have to work it out with you. We'd have to try it and see. I've never tried that before, but I'm very keen to take that guy who threw up, by the way, was a sprinter. He's 50 something. He used to be a college sprinter in the US, and he was a natural sprinter. And at one point we were talking about just doing this training and then getting him back on the track to see if he can break an elite record. It's like an age group record at sprinting. We never got round to it, but that's something I would like to do, because I think if you do something like this and focus on this as your base for your fitness, I think you're going to be a much better sprinter, given that you are a natural sprinter anyway.
Yeah. So do you think the best approach would be to do them at the same time, or would you maybe have doing this for 6 months and then focus
would probably, I think I would start, if you said you wanted to go back into Olympic powerlifting and you want to work with me on this, I would probably say do this for a few months just with me and do nothing else. And get a good solid base, and then go and do your individual powerlifting things. Tell me what you're doing in your powerlifting, because we don't want to be doing, we don't want you to be doing your powerlifting and then come and do this with me the next day. We have to work it out in a program. I have basketball players, and I tell them, they do their training, they do their basketball training. I said, forget about the fitness training, the circuits that they do in the basketball. When you go basketball training now, focus just on the skills.
Yes.
and use this training as your base. And it's
And that's
great.
yeah. I'm just thinking when you do something like Olympic weightlifting, you can't really practice with light weights because that
No,
is not transferable to the heavy ones that you want to lift.
no. I'd be very interested to work with somebody like that and figure something out. It would be a great
Mm.
project to do and see what benefits they get. I'm sure it can't do any harm, but of course the skill of Olympic weightlifting, you have to Olympic weightlift to be a good Olympic weightlifter. This will
Yeah.
support that, but you have to be careful how you dovetail the two together and when you do them. So you have to
Yeah.
work out a nice schedule for the year. And yes, I think my gut feeling would be if I was to start it with you, I think I would do this for a few months first. Several protocols, get your baseline fitness, get your cardio would develop as well with this. The intensity would increase everything, and then you can start with your real weightlifting.
Yeah. That would be really interesting.
Mm.
It's a shame you're not here then.
Well, there you go.
Yeah. My nemesis has always been my legs, actually. Funnily enough, I can get more weight over my head than I can actually squat.
Wow,
Front
then
squat.
you're a
Yeah.
very unusual person because
Oh yeah.
usually it's the other way around.
Yeah. I can lift it from the floor, but I have to power clean it rather than,
Yeah,
catch it low.
yeah,
So yeah, I need leg strength for sure,
yeah.
which is interesting. So that's why I was laughing when it's just going up there in the weights, and you said the women can leg press as much as the men, which is probably true for most women. It's just that
Well,
I've never.
well, I would be willing to bet that if you come and do this training with me,
Yeah.
and I focus especially because you will have a bias on partials min and partials max that is holding you back.
Mm.
And I don't want to go into too much detail because I could spend an hour talking about partials min and partials max. But I'm finding that when I focus on the weakness in people's legs on partials min,
Yes.
that oh my God, what a shock it is. But then they bounce back and they come back on benchmarking. It takes a while, but then they come back, and we focused on really what the problem was with their legs or any of the exercises on partials min. And so if you came to me and trained with me, I would put you through partials min on legs and
Well, I would hate to.
partials max, and then we go back to benchmarking. And I'm almost certain you'd be flying on legs within 6 months.
So that's an interesting thing, because when you do a leg press, it's usually some sort of seated leg press. So you're not having your body in the same position as you would if you were squatting with a bar.
Correct. So it is different. So that's lying on your back and leg pressing is totally different to squatting with a bar. And the reason I don't do squatting with a bar in my clients is you can't measure it that accurately.
Yeah.
Okay. You can't measure. It's also very important. Like if this is your leg on the seat on the leg press, as you push, you straighten it out. Okay.
Yeah.
When you come back, I'm on my hunches. I'm looking for this 90 degrees, and I tap on the knee of the client, and they start pushing. If you go 1 millimeter beyond 90 degrees, it becomes a whole different exercise. It's much harder. If you go 1 millimeter too short, if you're at 80 over 90 degrees, it's too easy. If you're at 89 degrees, it's too hard. So the form, this is where the form comes in. And I look for that 90 degrees, and I tap, and we get consistency. And you can't do that with your normal leg press squats. You can't do that. You can't go to that accuracy.
Well, I'm looking.
Plus, when you fail, unless you're in a Smith machine, it's going to be dangerous.
Yes, definitely. So I know for sure that below 90 degrees, I'm not very strong, and that's where I miss my form with the bar, and I get a little bit of a duck tail going on and leaning forward and kind of snaking up a little bit.
Come and do partials min with me, Pim. I'll have you fixed.
And you do them below 90 degrees then, I assume?
Just a little bit below. just a little bit on a very lightweight, but always under load. And it's horrible. You don't get a break.
I'm going to do that myself.
Yeah.
As much as I can on my own. I'll see what happens. But the thing that was troubling me is obviously that my body is not in the same position. So if it's another assisting muscle that is weak as well, then I'm not going to train that with the leg press.
Yeah.
And that's going to be a problem. So that moves me over to my next question, because you were saying that you told your clients to do hangs. So are there any accessory exercises that you usually ask them to do?
I do handstands with my clients. Some of my clients, I do handstands instead of the shoulder press.
Right.
And they're largely static to fail. They're good fun. You get good core. So I tend to do with some clients. I do the big four, and then we go over to a wall and we do handstands. And some of my really good clients, they go onto the parallettes and they're doing shoulder presses, which is tough.
Yes.
But that's exceptional. I do that with most of my clients, but I don't stick with it too long. I'm now going back to the shoulder press because it's a totally different thing again. The dynamics of moving from here is totally different to holding a handstand. So I tend to stick with the big five plus the handstands. But to go back to your question about grip, on the pull down, we don't want it to fail here. We want it to fail here. And people who've never done pull down have a weak grip. And they tend to fail here long before they've failed here. And I get people just to hang off a bar and time themselves at home between sessions and try and go for a minute.
I would fail so bad.
Well, you'd be surprised how quick it happens. Start with 30 seconds. Mm-hmm. Do it again and again. See how close you get to a minute. And it comes very quick. Very quick. You'd be surprised, Pim.
Right.
And before you know it, you're doing a minute and a half, 2 minutes. And then when you've hit a minute and a half, the grip is never a problem anymore. That problem goes away and you're always failing here.
Good. Right, so this question that I think I mentioned it just in the beginning. So women doing 200 kilos leg press, do we not get bulky?
No. This is the other myth about hypertrophy. That woman that I talked about with you in my last podcast, the small woman, 50 kilos, who's doing 200, her legs, they're much more muscular. They look better, but they're not bigger. They're not bigger. She's maybe put on 2 or 3 kilos over 18 months in muscle.
Yeah.
She's not big. She's tiny, but she looks great. So if you're chasing hypertrophy, I mean, if you want big muscles, eat carbs. Everybody knows about carb bulking. If you want to train to failure and you want to pull that glucose back into muscle quickly and have it swell up, eat carbs. But you're going to be spiking your insulin, and we don't want that. You want to be pulling it in from fat.
All you women that have been asking this question, avoid the carbs and train really, really heavy.
You will not get big. No. You'll get beautiful definition.
Yeah.
Beautiful definition, but you won't end up like the Hulk.
Thank you.
It's a myth.
Big one. Yeah. So just something else that occurred to me now when you said that. A lot of people seem to be concerned that they need some sort of carbs to actually get the gains when they are going to the gym. But now you told me that the client that you showed, what did you call her? The one with the inflammatory hysteresis, that woman.
The client A.
A was what she was. So she had been eating just meat and salt and water the last year, and she's gained strength. So it's more down to the training that you do rather than...
It's down to the training and being in a low inflammatory state. and you will get beautiful gains. You'll get beautiful bang for your buck for 15 minutes. It's efficient training. You don't want to be pushing against a wall of inflammation.
Yeah. So we don't need the rice, the sweet potatoes, the...
Well, you can train. When you've trained this way, you've emptied muscle glycogen. You can refill it in two ways. You can do carb cycling. Some people will train hard, do this, and they will take on carbs and very quickly refill muscle glycogen, probably quicker than you do in using fat. And you will get swollen. You will swell up. If you want that swollen look, then do that. But you've got to understand it comes with an insulin spike. And we don't want that.
But you won't get any stronger from doing that. It's more a visual thing.
I think it's more of a visual thing. I don't know. You'd have to ask somebody else who's looked into this in more detail. I can't tell you whether you're stronger or not. Maybe.
Well, clearly, if you train once a week, you're not going to have a problem recover and refilling your glycogen stores. That's, have plenty of time to do that.
Exactly. You just got plenty of time for it just to trickle in from fat, and in 2 or 3 days it's replenished rather than 12 hours.
Yeah.
Without an insulin spike.
If you were out, running every day, then maybe it will help, but that is not healthy training.
It's not sustainable. I've had people who've been running every day trying to lose weight, and they give up.
Yeah. And then they get injured.
And they get injured. As I did.
Yeah. Cool. That's awesome.
And people who say, well, you don't get the cardiovascular thing. There's a great video by Doug McGuff. I think it's on his channel. It's only 4 minutes. And I think the title is Why There's No Such Thing as Cardio. And it's a brilliant explanation. Awesome. It's basically this picture.
Yeah.
I think you know which one I'm going to talk about, the Krebs cycle and all that sort of stuff. It's this picture here, which is in the book. And he's drawn it in this video, and I can't see what it's all here, but there's the Krebs cycle here in the cell and everything. He says, quite rightly, there's no little direct spur off here to the heart and lungs. That doesn't exist, okay? It has to come from the muscles.
So you're getting cardio when you are doing the 15 minutes anyway.
Come and train with me for 15 minutes and tell me it's not cardio when I try and pick you off the floor.
Yeah.
My wife trains at the weekends, and I trained her on Saturday. And
you're still married. That's good.
We're still married. She literally rolled sideways off the leg press machine after the last exercise and collapsed on the floor. And she said, she used to be a skier, a competitive skier.
Wow.
She said, my lungs are burning as much as when I was competitive skiing in only 12 minutes.
Crazy.
And I said, do you want to go back to skiing? She said, never. Because she's a busy woman. She's a working woman. She does 15 minutes a week. It's done. She doesn't have to worry about anything. I sort out the protocols. I've got her track record. She shows up. I set up the weights. She gives it all for 15 minutes. She feels exhausted after the end, but then 5 minutes later, she's got a big smile on her face going, this is great.
Yeah. That's so awesome. I love it.
So you need to start becoming a trainer.
Okay, I'll have to think about it. I just restarted my old job, They wouldn't be happy with me if I left again.
Quit and set up your own business.
Yeah. Bye. No, it's very, very, very interesting. I'm hoping that everyone who's watching this will find it interesting and, at least give it a go for, as much as you can do on your own. And I think you're not going to get the same results as you would get if you had Nick shouting.
You can do a lot on your own.
But I imagine that you can still get quite a lot of benefits and quite a lot of strength gains in a year's
Yes,
time.
yes, you
And
can. And you may not be doing it as optimal as I'm doing it with my clients, but you can. If you've got the right attitude, you can do a lot on your own. That's for sure.
but if you wanted to do negatives, for example, you can still do that on your own. So you can swap
Yes,
that up from the what did you call it, the benchmarking, and
yes.
you can, if you wanted to do assisted negatives, so you could maybe train
We'll
one
use
side at a
elastic
time.
bands. Yeah,
Well, that, yeah.
yeah.
So
Use
there are
elastic
things that
bands.
you can still do to just, swap it up a bit.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
it's not impossible. It's just a bit
No,
harder.
there we go. I just lost you for a second.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, I mean, it's great. Why do you want? Like I said, why do you want to do more? Unless you're obsessed with exercise and you like
Hmm.
being in the gym for hours, then why do you want to do more? I mean, I don't know.
Because more is
It,
better. We all know that.
yeah, right. So
That's a mentality we are kind of indoctrinated with, that more is better of everything.
we are, and it's
Mm.
not. It's
No.
it's it's less is more with the diet, less is more with inflammation, and less is more with the exercise. Definitely.
Yeah. I think that goes for all areas of your life, really. It's like
Mm,
you can spend hours trying to do something. If you're not focused, it's going to take that long. But if you can focus on something, whether that be work or training or, whatever it is,
mm.
it can be done really quickly.
Yeah, it's
It's just,
about it's about
yeah,
being efficient
yeah,
and productive. You want
exactly.
efficiency and you want to be productive, and that's all it
Yeah.
is really. And when you have a methodical system like mine,
Mm.
all the guesswork is taken out of it. There's no guesswork anymore.
Yeah, I'm impressed with all your protocols and the level of organization that you have built up there. That's
Thanks. I've
really cool.
developed that over 2 years,
Yeah.
and I've got a lot of data now. And the good thing is that the longer the client stays with me, the more I get to know them, the more focused I can be on their strengths and weaknesses. And as I said, the next step for me is to start using algorithms to try and predict, rather than
Mm.
me looking at the spreadsheet and visually going through what what the next protocol is. I would like to use some form of intelligence, some machine learning on that,
Mm.
because I do spend a lot of time. I spend mornings in the gym and I spend afternoons writing all this up and going through. You can see that the more
Yeah.
data I get, the longer it takes. So you've got to be prepared. If you're going to do this for a living, you've got to be prepared to um, spend time on that analysis side of
Yeah.
things.
Absolutely. But yeah, I think it's a really, really good thing that you're doing this, and you're still looking to go even further and kind of automate it a little bit, if I can use that
Yeah,
word. And
yeah,
if you get things going and if you get people interested in training others this way, and you just have a whole system set up, it's going to be so easy for people to start, or other personal trainers to start doing this, rather
exactly.
than
That's
having
why
to,
I'm very keen. That's why
yeah.
I'm very keen to get this movement going. And
Mm.
um, thank you for having me on your show to show this. This is the first time I've shown this publicly
Wow.
away from my clients.
Yeah.
And it's great because hopefully there'll be people out there like you and me, and a spark goes off and they want to
Mm.
start doing this. And if they do, get in touch with me. Don't reinvent the wheel. Come to me. I will help you, and you can start improving the wheel. And you
Yeah.
can teach me things that I don't know.
You just have to build a database so everyone can put their clients in there as well.
I'd love that. I'd love that. If I could do that, we could build a massive database and we could
Yeah.
share that knowledge amongst the trainers.
Yeah.
And then that machine learning that's been done on all that data would help. I've only got my little set of clients, but if I'm
Yeah.
pulling in your set of clients and another guy's set
Yeah.
of clients, and we've got this all together, and we're
That would be
sharing
super
this
cool.
data, then we know, we'll have a program that says, right, we've got a 48-year-old woman with inflammatory hysteresis. She's been benchmarking, not going anywhere very, very, very quickly. What's the next protocol?
Exactly. That's so good. I love that.
It's exciting.
Yeah, it is. You have to keep working on that because that could be big, I think,
Well,
with the
that's
right.
why I'm in this business. I think I've always thought 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago, this is the future of training.
Hmm.
I still do, more than ever. Even though it's
Hmm.
not popular, I think because thanks to people like you with your show, um, it's gaining recognition, and inflammatory hysteresis is gaining recognition now.
Yeah.
People are starting to use it. They're starting to recognize it as a condition, and then the next question is, what's the solution? How can I overcome this?
Hmm.
Come and train with me. I'll help you.
Okay, I think we'll better leave it at that then.
Thank you
Thank
very
you so
much.
much. No, thank you so much for coming on and talking about the exercise. Obviously, it's not going to be for everyone, and that's fine. But if you really want to do something that is very efficient and time saving, because not everyone, as you said, likes being in the gym all the time, then I think maybe you should look into this type of training, try it out, see how little you like it, and then try it again and just stick with it for a while. And
Stick with
hopefully,
it. Don't
yeah.
give up. It's hard, but the more you do, the more results you see.
Mm,
And in the long term, it's very, very worth it. And I just
yeah.
give a quick plug for my company, ultimatefitness.fi is the website. Ultimate Fitness, all one word, .fi. If you could post a link, I would be
Yeah,
grateful for that.
I'll do that. So
And you
we
can
have a
come and
link.
join me.
Yep.
Come and if you live in the Helsinki area, come and train with me, and you get one of these nice mugs.
Yeah, you have to go to Finland to get your mug. That's all right. Awesome. So thank you so much, and we will have Nick back again. It's my favorite guest now, and my most. Oh yeah, because this is gonna be the third time you being on. I've had Troy twice, I think, but yeah, there you go. So thanks for watching, and we all wish Nick the best of luck with building his database and get all those things happening. I'm
Thank you very
excited to
much,
see where
Pim.
that's going. You're welcome.